I almost died because of a lie. Not a small lie, not a white lie, but the kind of lie that costs you everything: your money, your dignity, your will to live. My name is Diane Mitchell. I'm 47 years old, and I'm a high school mathematics teacher in Columbus, Ohio. 2 years ago, I fell in love with a ghost, sent him $10,000 of my hard-earned savings, and came within minutes of ending my own life when I realized I'd been scammed. This is the story of how loneliness made me vulnerable, how criminals exploited that vulnerability, and how I fought back from the edge of destruction to help bring down an international fraud ring. If you've ever felt lonely, if you've ever desperately wanted to believe someone loved you, if you've ever made a mistake that felt unforgivable, this story is for you. And I need you to stay with me until the end, because what happened after I hit rock bottom might save someone else from going through what I went through. Let me take you back to the worst period of my life. March 2024. I'd been divorced from my husband Mark for 4 months, and I was drowning. 22 years of marriage ended when I discovered he'd been having an affair with a colleague for 3 years. The divorce was quick and relatively painless legally, but emotionally, I was shattered. My 2 kids were grown and living their own lives. Emma was 24 in Chicago. Tyler was 21, finishing college in California. They called occasionally, but they had their own problems, their own relationships, their own futures. I was alone in a house that felt too big, eating dinner by myself every night, going to bed alone, waking up alone, teaching classes full of teenagers who had their whole lives ahead of them while mine felt like it was over. Have you ever been so lonely that it physically hurt? Like there's a weight on your chest every morning when you wake up and realize you have nobody to talk to, nobody who cares if you had a good day or a bad day, nobody who's thinking about you. If you've experienced that kind of loneliness, drop a comment below. I want you to know you're not alone in feeling that way, even though I know it feels like you are. My best friend Sharon kept telling me I needed to get back out there. Diane, you're 47, not 77. You're beautiful, you're smart. You deserve to be happy. Don't let Mark's affair define the rest of your life. Easy for her to say. Sharon had been happily married for 25 years, but she wore me down with her gentle persistence. And finally, one evening in late March, I downloaded a dating app called Love Connect, just to browse, just to see what was out there. No pressure, no expectations. I spent an embarrassing amount of time creating my profile. What do you say about yourself when you're trying to attract someone? I'm a divorced math teacher who likes reading and long walks? That sounded boring even to me. But I posted a recent photo, me at my daughter's graduation, smiling in a blue dress, and wrote something about looking for genuine connection and companionship. Then I started swiping. Online dating after 22 years of marriage is overwhelming. Hundreds of profiles, all blurring together. Men who looked nothing like their photos. Men with crude opening messages. Men who seemed nice but sparked zero interest. I swiped through dozens of profiles every evening, growing more discouraged each time. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I should just accept being alone. Then I saw him. Captain James Richardson. The photo showed a handsome man in his early 50s with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes, wearing a military uniform. His profile said he was a U.S. Army officer, currently deployed overseas, originally from Portland, Oregon, widowed 3 years ago when his wife died in a car accident. He had one adult son, also in the military. He loved classic rock, hiking, and Italian food. He was looking for someone genuine who understood military life and could be patient with his demanding career. Something about his profile resonated with me. The widower part, he understood loss. The military service. My father had been in the Navy, and I respected that sacrifice. Maybe it was just the way he smiled in his photo, warm and genuine with a hint of sadness. I swiped right, not expecting anything. He messaged me within an hour. "Diane, your smile caught my attention, but your profile captured my heart. A math teacher, that's wonderful. I was terrible at math in school, so I have tremendous respect for people who understand numbers. Would you be willing to chat?" We started messaging that night, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Excitement. James was articulate, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in my life. He asked about my teaching, my children, and my divorce. He shared stories about his deployment. He said he was stationed in the Middle East as part of a peacekeeping mission, working on infrastructure projects to rebuild communities devastated by conflict. He couldn't share too many details for security reasons, but what he did share sounded noble and important. If you're enjoying this story so far, please take a second to hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm share this warning with others who might need to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I share stories like this to help people avoid the mistakes I made. Days turned into weeks, and we messaged constantly. Good morning texts, updates throughout the day when he could get internet access, long conversations late at night. He sent me photos, always in uniform, always alone. But he looked exactly like his profile picture. He told me I was beautiful, intelligent, and that talking to me was the highlight of his difficult days overseas. He said he hadn't felt this way about anyone since his wife died, that meeting me felt like fate giving him a second chance at happiness. I fell for him, completely. By May, I was calling him my boyfriend, even though we'd never met in person. By June, I was planning our future together in my head, what it would be like when he came home, how I'd introduce him to my kids, maybe even getting married someday. The only thing that bothered me, and it did bother me, though I pushed the concern aside, was that we never talked on the phone, never video chatted. Every time I suggested it, James had a reason why it wasn't possible. "Diane, I would love nothing more than to see your beautiful face and hear your voice, but communications here are heavily restricted for security reasons. We can't make video calls if our location or activities were intercepted or tracked. It could put the entire unit at risk. I can sometimes sneak away to message you when I have internet access, but phone calls are absolutely forbidden. I hope you understand." It made sense, I thought. I didn't know much about military operations, and I didn't want to put him in danger just because I wanted to FaceTime. So I accepted his explanation and kept messaging him, building our relationship through words on a screen and the emotions they created in my heart. Have you ever been in a long-distance relationship where you never actually met the person? Or maybe you know someone who has? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences, whether they turned out well or whether you learned hard lessons like I did. In early July, 3 months into our online relationship, James sent me a message that changed everything. "Diane, I need to tell you something, and I need you to keep it completely confidential." Can I trust you? Of course, he could trust me. I loved him. I've been saving money for years, planning for my retirement from the military. I have $200,000 in cash and several gold bars that I've been keeping secure here on the base. The situation here is becoming unstable, and I'm worried about the security of my assets. I want to send them to the United States, to someone I trust completely. I want to send them to you. My heart was racing. $200,000, gold bars. This seemed like an enormous responsibility, but James explained it in a way that made sense. Military personnel accumulate cash savings during deployment because we don't have many expenses. No rent, no utilities, meals provided. Some of us invest in gold as a hedge against currency fluctuations. I can't send this through traditional banking channels because the amounts would trigger reporting requirements and tax questions. But I can ship it through a private military courier service that handles sensitive materials. Would you receive the package and keep it safe until I come home? We can use that money to start our life together. Our life together. Those words made my heart soar. I pushed aside the little voice in my head, saying this doesn't sound right, because I wanted so badly for this to be real. Of course I'll help you, I messaged back. You can trust me with anything. A few hours later, he sent me a video. In it, he stood in what looked like a sparse office, dressed in combat fatigues, showing me stacks of $100 bills neatly bundled. He counted through them on camera, though the video was grainy and I couldn't make out details. Then he showed me 3 gold bars stamped with official-looking markings. This is everything I've worked for, Diane. My future. Our future. I'm entrusting it to you because I love you. The shipping company will contact you in a few days. Remember, don't tell anyone about this. Not your family, not your friends. I don't want anyone questioning where this money came from or trying to interfere. This is just between us. I watched that video 20 times. I saved it on my phone. I felt chosen, trusted, loved. How could this be anything but real? 3 days later, a woman named Patricia Rodriguez called my cell phone. She identified herself as a representative from Global Military Courier Services. Ms. Mitchell, we've been contracted by Captain James Richardson to deliver a secure package to your address in Columbus, Ohio. The package contains personal effects and financial assets requiring special handling. I need to confirm your address and arrange delivery. I gave her my address, and Patricia explained the process. The package was being transported from the Middle East to the United States through secure military logistics channels. It would clear customs in New York, then be transported to Ohio by armored courier. The entire process would take approximately 2 weeks, and I could track the package through their system. She gave me a tracking number and website. I checked that website obsessively. Every day, the status updated. Package in transit from deployment location. Package arrived at International Logistics Hub. Package in customs processing. It all looked legitimate. Professional website, official logos, security certificates. I told James about each update, and he seemed relieved and grateful. We spent hours messaging about our future. The house we'd buy together, the trips we'd take, how we'd blend our families. I let myself sink completely into the fantasy because it felt better than my lonely reality. Then came the first payment request. Patricia Rodriguez called me on a Monday morning in mid-July. Ms. Mitchell, your package has cleared international customs and is ready for final transport. However, there's an insurance fee required for high-value shipments. The fee is $2,000, payable via wire transfer. Once we receive payment, we'll dispatch the armored courier to your location. $2,000 seemed like a lot, but Patricia explained that this was standard for packages containing significant cash and valuables. The insurance covered loss, theft, or damage during transport. If James were sending me $200,000, a $2,000 insurance fee was only 1% of the value. I called James to ask about it, and he confirmed. Yes, honey, I should have warned you about fees. These courier services charge for specialized handling. Can you cover it? I'll pay you back as soon as I'm home, or just take it from the cash in the package. I sent the $2,000 via wire transfer that afternoon. Patricia confirmed receipt and updated the tracking. Package in final transport phase. Delivery estimated within 72 hours. I was so excited I could barely sleep. In 3 days, I'd have James's package. In a few more months, James would come home and our real life together would begin. But 72 hours later, Patricia called again. Ms. Mitchell, I apologize for the delay. The armored courier attempted to cross state lines, but interstate transport of high-value assets requires an additional security clearance fee. This wasn't flagged earlier, and I sincerely apologize. The fee is $1,500. Once paid, we can proceed with delivery. Another fee? I felt my first real doubt. Why hadn't they mentioned this earlier? I called James, but he didn't answer. I messaged him, and he replied hours later. Diane, I know this is frustrating. These courier companies nickel and dime you with fees. But we're so close. Just pay the $1,500 and you'll have the package. All these fees will seem like nothing compared to what we've gained. I paid the $1,500. I told myself this was an investment in our future. $3,500 total to receive $200,000. Still worth it. The tracking updated. Security clearance approved. Final delivery in progress. 3 days later, Patricia called again, and my stomach dropped. Ms. Mitchell, I have unfortunate news. The courier was stopped at a security checkpoint, and because of the contents, large amounts of cash and gold, additional federal inspection fees have been triggered. This is a Homeland Security requirement for any package containing over $50,000 in cash or precious metals. The fee is $3,500. $3,500. Now we were talking about serious money. The alarm bells in my head were screaming. Patricia, this is the third fee. How many more will there be? How do I know this isn't a scam? Patricia's voice remained calm. Ms. Mitchell, I completely understand your frustration. These are legitimate government requirements. I can provide documentation, and this is the final fee. Once paid, the package will be delivered within 24 hours. I have it at my facility right now. Captain Richardson is a valued client, and we want to complete this delivery, but we can't proceed without federal clearance. I told her I needed to think about it. I'd already paid $3,500. If I paid another $3,500, I'd be $7,000 deep. That was money I'd saved carefully over the years, money meant for retirement or helping my kids. I called James. He answered this time, and I heard his voice for the first time, or at least, I heard a man's voice. Diane, sweetheart, I know this is hard. I know you're scared, but we're so close. Just this one more payment, and you'll have everything. $200,000 in gold bars worth at least $50,000 more. You'll have $250,000 in your hands tomorrow. Isn't that worth $3,500? His voice was warm, reassuring, and hearing it after months of just text messages made me want to believe him even more. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll pay it. I sent the $3,500, but that night I couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong, really wrong. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, doing the math. $7,000. I'd sent $7,000 to a courier company I'd never heard of before, for a package from a man I'd never met in person, a man I'd never video chatted with, a man whose voice I'd only heard once on a brief phone call. The next morning, Patricia called again. Ms. Mitchell, I'm so sorry, but there's one more fee. The federal inspection revealed that the package needs special diplomatic clearance because of its international origin and high value. The clearance fee is $3,000. This is absolutely the final. No. The word came out of my mouth before I even consciously decided to say it. No, I'm not paying any more fees. Ms. Mitchell, you're so close. You've already invested $7,000. If you don't pay this final fee, you'll lose everything you've already paid, and the package will be returned to the sender. Then return it. I'm not sending another dollar. I hung up. My hands were shaking. $7,000. I'd sent $7,000 to these people, and now they wanted $3,000 more. If I paid it, would that really be the end? Or would there be another fee, and another, until I drained my entire savings account? I needed to talk to someone. I'd kept this whole thing secret like James had asked, but I couldn't do it anymore. I called Sharon. Sharon, I need your help. I think I'm in serious trouble. I told her everything. The dating app, James, the months of messaging, the $200,000 package, the $7,000 I'd already paid, the $3,000 they were demanding now. As I heard myself saying it all out loud, I realized how insane it sounded. How could I have been so stupid? Sharon didn't judge me. Diane, honey, we need to figure out right now if this is real. Can you send me screenshots of your conversations with James and the name of this courier company? Over the next hour, Sharon and her nephew, who worked in cybersecurity, investigated. They found that Global Military Courier Services website had only been registered 3 months ago, right when James and I started talking. A legitimate international shipping company would have existed for years, would have reviews, and would have a verifiable business registration. This had none of that. Then they reverse image searched James's photos. The military uniform photos were stock images stolen from a military appreciation website. The man in the photos was a real soldier named Lieutenant Colonel Mark Stevens, who died in combat in Afghanistan in 2019. Someone had stolen a dead soldier's photos and was using them to scam lonely women. The room started spinning. I felt like I might vomit. Everything I'd felt for James, everything I'd believed about our relationship, all our plans, none of it was real. I'd been talking to a criminal, probably sitting in some internet cafe overseas, using a dead soldier's face to manipulate me into sending money. "How much did you send?" Sharon's nephew asked gently. $7,000. They want 3,000 more. He shook his head. "Don't send it. That money is gone. You'll never get it back. But if you send more, you'll just lose more. This is a classic romance scam targeting divorced or widowed women. They build emotional connection, gain your trust, and then create emergencies requiring money. The fees never stop." Have you ever felt the ground disappear beneath you? Have you ever realized something you believed with your whole heart was a lie? That sick, hollow feeling in your chest, that betrayal and humiliation and rage all mixed. If you felt it, you know what I'm talking about. Drop a comment if you've ever been scammed or betrayed like this. You're not alone. Sharon had to leave to pick up her kids, but she made me promise I wouldn't do anything drastic. "Diane, I know this feels devastating, but you're going to get through this. We'll figure out what to do. Just promise me you won't do anything stupid while I'm gone." I promised. But I lied. After Sharon left, I sat in my empty house and looked at my bank account. $7,000 gone. $7,000 I'd sent to criminals who'd laughed at me while taking my money. I thought about James, whoever he really was, probably running the same scam on a dozen other women right now, collecting thousands of dollars from each of us, exploiting our loneliness and our desperate desire to believe someone could love us. I felt like the stupidest person alive. I'm a math teacher. I teach teenagers how to think critically, how to solve problems, and how to spot errors in logic. And I'd fallen for this? I'd ignored every red flag, every warning sign, every moment of doubt, because I wanted so badly to believe I wasn't going to be alone forever. My kids were going to find out. My colleagues were going to find out. The entire Columbus school system would know that Diane Mitchell, the supposedly smart math teacher, got catfished and scammed out of $7,000 by a fake soldier. I'd be a joke, a cautionary tale. That pathetic, middle-aged, divorced woman who was so desperate for love that she fell for an obvious con. I couldn't face it. I couldn't face the humiliation, the pity, the judgment. I couldn't face going back to school in the fall and seeing the whispers, the sideways glances, knowing everyone knew what an idiot I'd been. I went to my bathroom and opened the medicine cabinet. I had a bottle of sleeping pills left over from right after the divorce, when I couldn't sleep for weeks. There were maybe 30 pills in the bottle. Enough. I poured them into my hand and filled a glass of water. I sat on the edge of my bathtub and stared at those pills. It would be so easy. Just swallow them, lie down, go to sleep, and never have to face the shame and the emptiness again. My kids would be sad, but they'd be okay. They had their own lives. They didn't need a mother who was too stupid to spot an online scam. I raised the pills to my mouth, My phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but some automatic reflex made me look at the screen. It was Sharon. I answered. Hello? Diane, are you okay? You sound weird. I looked at the pills in my hand. I'm fine. No, you're not. What's going on? Talk to me. Sharon, I can't do this. I can't face everyone knowing what I did. I can't face being that person, the one everyone pities and laughs at behind her back. There was a long pause. Then Sharon's voice came through, sharp and urgent. Diane, where are you right now? What are you doing? I'm in my bathroom. Are you holding something? Pills? Diane, talk to me right now. I started crying. I have sleeping pills. I can't do this, Sharon. I can't live with this. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Listen to me right now. Put those pills down. Do not take them. Do you hear me? Do not take them. Why? Why shouldn't I? My life is over anyway. Your life is not over. You made a mistake. You got scammed. So what? Thousands of people get scammed every year. It doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. These criminals are professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. You're a victim, Diane, not an idiot. Everyone's going to know. So what? Let them know. Let them judge. The people who matter, the people who love you, are going to support you. Your kids love you. I love you. And you know what else? You're going to fight back. You're going to report these bastards. You're going to make sure they face consequences. But you can't do any of that if you're dead. I was sobbing now, the pills still clutched in my shaking hand. I don't know how to come back from this. One step at a time. Right now, step one is putting those pills back in the bottle. Can you do that for me? Slowly, carefully, I poured the pills back into the bottle and closed it. Okay, they're back. Good. Now I want you to go to your living room and sit down. I'm coming over right now. Don't move. Don't do anything. Just wait for me. 15 minutes. Can you wait 15 minutes? Yes. Promise me. I promise. Sharon arrived in 12 minutes. She must have driven like a maniac. She came in without knocking, found me sitting on my couch staring at nothing, and wrapped her arms around me while I cried. We sat like that for a long time. I'm so sorry, I kept saying. I'm so sorry for being such a mess. Stop apologizing. You're allowed to be a mess. You just lost $7,000 to criminals who exploited your emotions. Anyone would be devastated. But Diane, listen to me. This is not the end. This is just a really, really bad chapter. We're going to get through it together. If this story is hitting you emotionally, if you're feeling what I felt, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. I share these stories to help people, to let you know you're not alone, and to warn others about the dangers I faced. Your subscription helps these messages reach more people who need to hear them. That night, Sharon stayed with me. She called her husband to watch their kids, and she slept in my guest room because she didn't trust me to be alone. The next morning, she made me breakfast and sat me down with her laptop. We're going to report this. Right now, we're going to file a complaint with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. You're going to tell them everything that happened. And then we're going to make sure these criminals don't get away with what they did to you. I didn't want to. I wanted to hide, to pretend it never happened. But Sharon wouldn't let me. She sat with me while I typed out every humiliating detail. How I met James on Love Connect. How we'd talked for months. I'd believed he was a U.S. Army captain deployed overseas. I'd sent $7,000 to a fake courier company. I attached screenshots of our conversations, copies of wire transfer receipts, and everything I had. The FBI sent an automated response acknowledging my complaint. I assumed that was the end of it. My case would go into a database with thousands of others, and nothing would happen. But I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I got a call from FBI Special Agent Lisa Morales. Ms. Mitchell, I'm following up on your internet crime complaint. Your case has been flagged as part of a larger investigation. The scammer you encountered is part of an organized group we've been tracking. They've victimized dozens of American women, many who lost significantly more than you did. We're working with international law enforcement to identify and prosecute the individuals involved. My heart jumped. Does that mean you might catch them? Agent Morales was honest. We're making progress. We've identified several members of the network, and we're working with authorities in the country where they're operating to arrest them. I can't make promises about recovering your money. These groups move funds quickly through complex networks, but we are building a case and your information is helpful. Would you be willing to participate in a formal interview? I agreed. Over the following weeks, I gave the FBI everything I had, every message from James, every email from Patricia Rodriguez, every receipt from the wire transfers. Agent Morales told me they were coordinating with law enforcement in West Africa. She wouldn't specify which country, where they believed the scam ring was operating from. These groups are sophisticated, she explained. They have dozens of fake identities, multiple bank accounts, and teams of people working different roles. The person you knew as James was probably several different people taking turns messaging you. Patricia Rodriguez was probably someone else entirely. They script everything carefully to maximize emotional manipulation and financial extraction. Hearing that should have made me feel better. If they were professionals, maybe I wasn't so stupid for falling for it, but it just made me feel worse. I hadn't even been special enough to warrant one dedicated scammer. I'd been one of many women being processed through their system like cattle. Agent Morales asked me to do something that terrified me. Participate in a public awareness video about romance scams. Ms. Mitchell, victims often don't come forward because they're embarrassed. That silence allows these criminals to continue operating. If you're willing to share your story publicly, you might save others from the same fate. I didn't want to. The thought of my face being associated with this humiliation made me sick, but I remembered sitting on my bathroom floor with those pills in my hand, and I remembered Sharon telling me I could fight back. Maybe this was how I fought back. I agreed to do it. The FBI filmed me in September, 5 months after I'd first matched with James on Love Connect. I sat in front of a camera and told my story. All of it. The divorce, the loneliness, the dating app. How convincing James had seemed. The months of messages and growing emotional attachment. The video shows $200,000 in cash. The escalating payment requests. The $7,000 I'd lost. The moment I discovered it was all a scam. And the pills in my hand. The moment I almost gave up. If you're on dating apps, please be careful, I said directly to the camera. Insist on video calls early. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. Be skeptical of anyone claiming to be military deployed overseas. That's one of the most common covers. Don't keep the relationship secret. Talk to friends and family. An outside perspective can spot red flags you miss when you're emotionally invested. And if you do get scammed, please don't do what I almost did. Don't let shame and humiliation convince you that your life is over. Report it. Fight back. You're not alone. And then, in early November, Agent Morales called with news I never expected. Ms. Mitchell, we've made arrests. Working with local authorities, we've detained 7 individuals connected to the scam network that targeted you. They were operating from multiple locations, but we caught 3 of them in one country in West Africa and 4 others who'd fled to different locations trying to avoid capture. They had detailed records of their victims, names, photos, conversation logs, and financial information on over 300 American women. Your case was in their files. I could barely breathe. They're arrested. Really arrested. Really arrested. And here's the other news. We've frozen multiple bank accounts containing approximately $3.2 million in stolen funds. We're working on victim restitution. It's going to take time to sort through claims and distribute recovered funds. And you likely won't get back everything you lost because there are so many victims. but you should receive a partial reimbursement. I did receive a check 9 months later, in June 2025, almost exactly a year after I'd sent that first $2,000 payment. The restitution amount was $4,800, about 69% of what I'd lost. It wasn't everything, but it was something. More importantly, it was justice. It was proof that fighting back mattered. The 7 arrested scammers faced prosecution, 3 in their home country in West Africa, 4 in various countries where they'd fled. Agent Morales kept me updated. Prison sentences ranged from 6 to 12 years. Knowing those criminals were being held accountable helped me heal in ways I hadn't expected. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something important. Have you or someone you know ever been targeted by a romance scam? What red flags did you notice? Share your experiences in the comments. Your story might help someone else recognize a scam before they lose money. And please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. These stories need to reach as many people as possible. As for my personal life, I'm more cautious now, but I haven't given up on connection. I tried dating again, but this time I insisted on meeting in person within 2 weeks. No more months-long online relationships with people I'd never seen face to face. I went on some dates that didn't work out, and that's okay. I'm not lonely anymore. I've reconnected with friends, joined a book club, and started volunteering at a literacy program. My life is full with or without a romantic partner. I also became an advocate for scam awareness. I give talks at community centers about romance fraud. I've helped several women who reached out after seeing my FBI video, women who were being scammed and didn't realize it until I pointed out the red flags. Saving even one person from losing their money and dignity makes everything I went through worthwhile. Here's what I need you to understand. Romance scams aren't about stupidity. They're about human vulnerability and the universal desire for connection. These criminals are professionals who study psychology, who know exactly how to build trust and create emotional dependency. They target lonely people, going through transitions, open-hearted enough to believe in love. That's not weakness. That's a beautiful human quality that criminals weaponize. If you're on dating apps, insist on video calls early. Never send money to someone you haven't met in person. Be skeptical of anyone claiming to be military deployed overseas. Don't keep relationships secret. Talk to friends and family, outside perspective spots, red flags you miss when you're emotionally invested. And if you have been scammed, please report it. File an FBI internet crime complaint. Report the profile to the dating platform. Tell your story. Your information could help law enforcement build cases. Your voice could save someone else. I'm 49 years old now, 2 years past the scam. I'm stronger, wiser, more careful, but still open to love. Real love, face to face, in person, with someone whose identity I can verify and intentions I can trust. I still have screenshots of my conversations with James saved on my phone. I look at them sometimes to remind myself how far I've come. From the woman who desperately wanted to believe in Captain James Richardson, to the woman who nearly ended her life over the betrayal, to the woman who fought back and helped bring down an international fraud ring. That bottle of sleeping pills is still in my medicine cabinet. I kept it as a reminder of the moment I almost gave up, and the moment Sharon's phone call saved my life. Every time I see it, I remember that no mistake, no humiliation, no loss is worth ending your life over. There's always a way forward, even when you can't see it. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out for help. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Talk to a friend. Talk to anyone. Your life matters, even when it doesn't feel like it. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If it resonated with you, please share it. Help spread awareness so fewer people learn these lessons the hard way. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts or experiences. Remember, wanting love doesn't make you foolish. Believing in human goodness doesn't make you naive. But protecting yourself, trusting your instincts, and asking questions before sending money, that makes you smart. Be careful out there. Be hopeful, but be wise. And know that if you fall for a scam, you're not alone, and it's never too late to fight back. Your life is worth fighting for. Always.